What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the Vicktory Life Legacy Spotlight. Today, I tapped into the 804, some guys from ODU alum and a current player. Also, someone in particular, Jason, I've been following for a long time. Today, we have a family affair. Ronnie Wade, father, former ODU alum, and also his son, Jason Wade. How you guys doing?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm glad to get you on. I know our schedules have been crazy. You guys trying to make this happen, but that's what happened. I'm a family of three, a father, husband, and Ronnie, you were working a basketball camp, and Jason was training, and we'll talk about that. But I'm glad to got you both on, man. This is a very special. I love when I get families on. I love when I get a father's son or a mother's son, whatever. So this is actually really good for me. But before we talk about Jason, because I know you're still playing and training, and you have a season upcoming. By the way, side note, I'm sure I don't know if Aaron told you, your uncle, but my daughter and one of his frat brothers' daughters are going to ODU. They're freshmen this year.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
Sydney, my oldest daughter. We move
Right.
her in a few weeks. So, Jason, I know you got a season, but make sure you look after baby girl. We don't want any red cups to lead to bad decisions. So,
I got you.
Yeah. ODU, I'm from the 757, but I mean, I'm happy that a lot of kids I know are going to great school. But before we talk about both your time at ODU, Ronnie, let's start with you, the father.
Okay.
When you and I were talking, I've been around you before. You came to some of my AU games and, you ref, a lot of the standout athletes in the Commonwealth and throughout the 804. But I want to talk about your legacy because before there was a Jason and a Jordan, your other son, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Before there was them, and before you and Linda, you were your own man and you were an athlete, man. Just talk about growing up, your lifestyle, your family, and what got you into sports.
Well, just growing up in the city, most of the time you go to the playgrounds and that's what we did. You just play ball. And if you want to play with the big boys, you had to wait your turn. And when you got on the court, you had to do your thing. If you didn't, you have to wait 5 or 6 more games if you get on that day. So you better bring some to the playground. Then I was fortunate in school, high school. I had great coaching, old school coaches who really cared, and coaches were more involved back then than they are now with the AAU circuit. So it was like a family, and they taught you the little things about basketball. So if you didn't grow to be a certain size or you didn't develop a certain athleticism, you could still compete. And somebody may look at you to get you in school, because that was the coach's main goal back then, to get you into school.
Yeah. Did you, when you had sons and they became athletes, and your era is different from their era in regards to what's allowed, what's a foul, or what's sport competition as far as your era. Every era is different, but at the same time, did you explain to them, did you share your insight and life stories based on what you experienced? Or were you more of a hands-off dad?
No, I did as they got a little older, but when they were younger, it was all about them, let them do their thing. They didn't even know I had a bunch of trophies until my wife told them. I keep them in the attic. So they used to win their little trophies. They come home and polish them up, and they were very excited. And they kept talking about how nice their trophies were. So my wife said, your daddy got a whole lot of trophies upstairs. They was where? So I brought them down. They spread them all out on the floor, and they was like really amazed. So they kind of learned the story as they went on. But I always wanted them to shine and do their thing.
Hey, man, so you kept the trophies in the attic? There's no, display in the basement or living room, no, display where they showing? It's just in the attic?
No,
they were?
No. They're in the attic. Well, they were in my father's house. There was always a room, and he kept them there. When he passed, I put them all in a box and put them in the attic because I didn't want the boys to be chasing my stuff. I wanted them to do their own thing.
Oh, that's actually very good. That's actually very good. I didn't even think about that because in today's age, we post everything. I'm blessed to receive an offer. I'm blessed to receive Chick-fil-A gift points. Everything is, we posting everything. And again, I love social media because I love the story. I love the journey. But I mean, it's amazing every time I meet gentlemen like yourself or women that play sports or successful in their endeavors. They're very humble. So when you were growing up, the expectation was just to go out and compete and train. It wasn't more so about I'm playing ball to get offers or I'm doing this to become the best. You were just engaging in your sport.
Correct. My father was a hard worker, worked a couple of jobs, and taught me the importance of hard work, being on time, and being true to your word. So he didn't even know I was as good as I was until my sister told him, because he had a lawn care service, and I used to work with him a lot doing the grass cutting. And I went to high school that they put me on varsity. And so one day
this is basketball, right?
Basketball.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I wasn't going to be able to go to practice one day. And my sister said, hold up, he's on varsity, Daddy. He's got to go to practice. So I went to practice and my dad came to see me play. He didn't see me play until I was a ninth grader. And he was just shocked. And from that day on, he made sure I made practice every day. And he put the work stuff to the side and just blossomed from there.
No doubt, man. So Jason, when you hear your dad talk and you know, obviously you know your father, so it's not like some of this is not new information to you. But I know we're having a son and two girls who are athletes, and even the kids I mentor and coach. When I talk about my career, we got to, you know, blow off the VCR tape. So I got to go to YouTube and make sure the track is not that bad. Because I mean, sometimes it's almost like, all right, Dad, for real. But when you hear about your father's career, because your whole family, a lot of y'all are athletes. You know, your uncle, a lot of y'all, it's in your blood. Like, what were your thoughts? What do you know about your father's career?
You know, I know a lot about his career, and it's funny because the stories that I hear, I never hear from him. It's always from his high school teammates or people he grew up with, people he's been knowing for years. We'll see them out, or I'll see him at a workout, and they'll just be like, "Man, you know, your father was a bad boy at high school. He used to get it done." I'm like, "No, tell me more, tell me more." And, you know, they just go from there, and I've learned most of my stories about my dad from there. And like you said, he really left that alone with telling how his whole high school career went and his college career went. I've learned a lot of the stories from other people, and just hearing it from them, I think magnifies it a little bit more because it's really like other sources that are telling you like, hey, your dad was really like that back in the day.
No doubt. Hey, and Ronnie, where'd you play your high school ball at?
And John Marshall was a combined John Marshall and Maggie Walker, call it Marshall Walker. So John Marshall for 1 year, Marshall Walker for 3 years.
Okay. So Jason, let's get back with you, man. So we talked about your family, your father, and, you know, your legacy in regards to a lot of your family being, you know, athletes, and you guys are very supportive and loving family. But each person within the family has their own journey, their own story. For you, you know, I was late to the story. You know, I remember Aaron telling us about you, so I watched you online. But before we get to high school and EYBL and all that, every kid starts off with that moment, whether it was a game they saw, they went around the way and they hooped or they played something. There's a moment that resonates with them that kind of opened that door for them to engage in sports. For you, what was that moment? Like, was it when you were 8 years old, 11? When was that moment for you?
It's funny, you know, growing up, being in the backyard, I used to play against my brother all the time. And as a little boy growing up, you know, playing against your brother and just going hard, trying to beat him was all you wanted to do. So I think once the time I started like really competing with my brother, and my brother's 3 years older than me. Yeah. So once I started competing and we started going back and forth in games, I was like, okay, maybe I got a little something here. You know what I'm saying? So I think with having an older brother and being as competitive as he was, that really showed me I had that competitive drive that he had, and that really pushed me to be a good player, the player that I am now.
No doubt. Now, just so I'm clear, for you, it was just always basketball. You didn't do any youth football or anything like that?
I actually did do football, and some people say I was a better football player than I am basketball player.
Okay. Speak on it, please. This is your legacy spotlight.
You know, I'm not. I had a couple of concussions, so I had to give that up, unfortunately. Yeah. And but I was a pretty good football player too.
What position did you play?
Quarterback.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir.
I didn't know that, man. That's why I love these legacy spotlights. And seeing you throughout the course of your progression, I remember I saw you at Boo Williams a few years ago before COVID. And even then I was looking at you as you, me, and your uncle Aaron walking around the complex. I was like, yo, you, Henry, Mondo, we'll talk about your high school and AAU teammates in a little bit, but all of y'all are long, athletic. You know, it's just crazy, but y'all went into the basketball field. I'm sure, you know, you could have made some noise, but you chose the right sport because you've had a great career. Now, I joke with a lot of people because I'm a VA guy and I'm from the 757, and everyone knows the 757 and 804 area has a lot of pride. You know, my longtime friend and brother, Troy Mann, is the head basketball coach at LC Bird. You know, Hank Coleman, my teammate, longtime brother, is from 804. Then, of course, Lauren Johnson, my teammate, longtime friends, the head coach at Highland Springs, and of course, one of my best friends, Aaron Foster, your family. So all throughout my life, especially when I got to college, the 804 and 757 had arguments, but it was clear to me throughout my, journey, the Richmond area, has a lot of great talent, a great history and tradition. So Jason, with that being said, did you play as you got older and confidence? Did you play in any youth leagues? So just talk about that time frame when you were to start hooping. What leagues was it for you, middle school, and as you got to high school?
Well, I started. I was gonna play with my private school middle school team, and I went to the first practice, and it just seemed like the competition level was so not where I was. You know what I'm saying? I was ahead of the curve, and I think from there I kind of realized, my dad really realized, and people would come to him and be like, you need to get Jason playing AAU. You need to get Jason playing AAU. And after all these people kept coming saying Jason needs to play AAU, I think I was about 11.
Yeah.
When I first tried out for my first AAU team and I made it, and then after that I became a starter and playing with Team Richmond. And from there, it just blew up from there. Coaches wanted me to play up with the older teams, playing against good players, Monte Buckingham, Nick Sherrod, all those Richmond legends. So I've been competing since I was young, and I think that really is why I have such a good edge, a competitive edge, because I started young.
Yeah. And Ronnie, being his dad, and you know this because you and I talked about this in prepping for this, and you've been around some of my AAU games, and you are in the culture of high school and even semi-pro basketball and AAU high school. So you know about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And with the exposure of AAU and the growth of it, it also came into a situation where we have a lot of, actually, Aaron and I were texting about this the other day. These trainers, you have certified real ones, you have these other ones who are pretenders, and you have a lot of daddy ball going on where now, in the 80s and 90s, it was only like 5 AAU teams in VA and a few in DC and a couple in Maryland. Now it's 9,000, right?
Yeah.
Hearing Jason talk about his journey early on and how he started going against his brother, and then he did this. What was your involvement? Because I tend to see a correlation between the young men and women who are successful through the process. Their parents are supportive and pick their spots, or some even take on the role as, I'm going to train you, I'm going to coach you. And then the ones that do, it can work as well. What was your role as Jason started to take on and make the AAU teams, Team Richmond? What was your role in all of that?
Well, a lot of kids look up to their fathers and they hang with their fathers when they're younger. So I was constantly playing ball. And I used to play every Thursday night at John Marshall with a bunch of guys that played high school ball, pro ball, or at a college ball at a high level. And they would go with me and they would sit there and watch these guys play. Then when we would finish, he and his brother would play whole court 1-on-1. They would just go at it. We would just sit there and watch. Whole court 1-on-1. Yeah. And so I would take them over there and work them out, and we would do drills together. And then what I found out was, if you're going to have a kid playing, especially young, you want to get them good coaching. So when I took him to Team Richmond to try out for the team, he made the team. I ended up becoming one of the coaches. Then I ended up becoming the head coach. So I coached him, and who else was on that team with you?
Aaron Duhart, point guard at Army, played at Trinity with me. Curtis Cooper, bunch of guys who played high school ball around this area. So
we had 12. I had about 12 guys on the team, and 9 of them ended up playing college basketball out of my 12. So it was good. I just wanted them to get the good fundamental basics, and then they could go from there. Because if you start them off wrong, you have a lot of recovery you have to do.
Did you have to make any tough decisions, or were there kids as your program grew, as your son's talent grew, were there kids or parents you have to have some tough conversations with some kids that weren't up to par, that weren't worthy to be around them or not on that level?
Yes, very much so. I think the first year I coached, you love all the kids, you get to know them and you want to do well. So we made our first national. We went to D2 nationals, and we went up there and got our brains beat in because I really didn't know anything about the AAU circuit. And I remember talking to a coach from DC Assault, and he and I became friends. And he said, Wade, if you want to win and compete at this level, you got some tough choices you're going to have to make. So the next year I went back and had an open, had a lot of kids come in and try out. And I had to talk to some parents about your kid might not be at this level yet. It was tough. But if you wanted to win and compete, and people were putting their time, money, and effort into this, you had to do it.
So funny. I saw Jason laugh because he laughed because I had a moment of reflection because the first time y'all came around my program when I started, now it's evolved into a very good program. And my son and one other good players, they have gone on to play. You mentioned DC Assault. My son plays for DC Premier. So he's on the Under Armour circuit. So, you know, but when you first came and saw me and Aaron coaching, we played the nationally ranked New York Gauchos. And we got our brains beat in.
Yeah.
And I remember, you know, Jason was just chilling, but you came over and talked to me and Aaron. You were like, hey, you're going to be fine, man. It happens. Yeah. This is part, because it was our first year.
Yeah.
And we were down at the Junior Phenom. And I remember thinking, man, we got a long way to go because the Gauchos, AAU, because, you know, they were there, Boo Williams' team. It was Junior Phenom, you know, some of the best teams. CP3's team was there. We did okay. We went 2-2, but that Gaucho game was rough. I think we got beat 55-6. And I remember thinking, man, we can't break a press, but it's amazing how that came. And I remember your words of wisdom, Ronnie, when you were like, hey, trust me, been through it. Yeah. Jason, you laughed. You remember that?
Yes, sir. Like it was yesterday. All of us was just crying after the game. It was the first time really, like AAU at the time, we were playing around like in the Richmond area, Northern Virginia, down to 757. When we went national, it was dudes we hadn't seen before, much bigger, stronger. So it was, I remember like it was yesterday.
What did you take from it? I want to ask you this because when I had Henry on, you know, your friend and teammate, he talked about how every year he got better. Excuse me, and he talked about like people think he's a finished product now, but it was a progression where he had some humble pie and he had to work on his game and he had to get stronger and take the game more seriously. Was it that game for you, or was there another moment throughout your youth, your young career that you realized, okay, I got to get up early, you stay up late, get shots up? What was that moment for you?
I think you have a humble moment almost every year you play basketball. I think it's a moment where you realize, hey, that guy is really good. I got to step it up if I'm going to be better than him, or you know what I'm saying? And I think that was a humbling piece because, like I said, we've never played a team to that caliber before, and they.
You remember the team? Do you remember who it was?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't. I just remember they were purple. We played them in Kentucky.
Yeah.
And they beat us really bad.
And they were beating us so bad that the other coach called a timeout for me because I was out. He said, I called a timeout. And the guys was coming off the court and they were crying. And I was like, I can see why y'all are crying, but the guys on the bench, I said, wow, y'all crying. They said, we don't know, coach.
Maybe they were scared. They were
maybe, but it was very and I became a better coach and we became better players because of it.
Yeah. Jason, you is there someone you looked at, even not so much now, because I mean I can get to that later, you know, who do you maybe look at and model your game after, but I always like asking whatever the sport is, track, football, basketball, baseball. Was there someone throughout your childhood, you know, other than your father, that had an influence in your game directly, indirectly, that you check for, or that you will watch, or even around the way that was older than you that you like watching play?
I tell my dad this all the time. He took us to a John Marshall game, me and my brother. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with the name Travis McKay.
Yes, I am.
We saw John Marshall play. It was one of my first high school games, and I absolutely fell in love with his game. I don't know if many people know him. He's Wake Forest product.
Yeah.
So I think I modeled it after his game a little bit with his athleticism and how hard he plays, and a little bit after my brother's game, just because of how hard he played. He was undersized for his position, and I feel like that taught me a lot of how I play, because I can play 1 through 4, and I'm undersized 4-man, but as hard as I play, I can get away with it. Yeah. And my brother taught me that.
Yeah. I know he's not on here, but talk about your brother. You mentioned him. That's actually pretty cool. How was his game? Which you said undersized as well. What do you mean? Like, talk about his attributes that you enjoyed.
He's first of all, he's like 6'1", 6 feet flat,
Yeah.
around there. But he plays like he's 6'5", 6'7", you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I've been watching him play ever since I was little. I was blessed to have a chance to play with him in high school as a freshman, and he was a senior. But he just plays hard, and that's one thing about his game that I really loved, and that's one thing that I tried to bring to the college level is his spirit and his drive. And I feel like that's carried me throughout a lot of my career.
Yeah. And doesn't Jordan play? Doesn't he play? Or
he's a basketball official.
He's a basketball official.
Yeah, he just got picked up on the college level 2 weeks ago.
God bless him. I don't know. Look, the coach. My son's high school and AAU coaches love me and his mom, my wife, because we sit back, we cheer. I don't even talk to refs. Even when I used to coach AAU basketball and football, I may say, "Hey, that's not a travel," but I see that what y'all go through as refs, especially in the modern day game, the last 10 years with social media and AAU, all these big markets. You know, these parents, man, I see tons of TikTok and Twitter videos of people squaring up on refs, man. So shout out to your son, man, because that's not going into the military, but as far as baseball concerned, you got to be tough.
You really have to watch yourself. And I think if parents and coaches see you working hard and you're on top of the plays, and then sometimes you just got to make a judgment call. If you're there and you make the call, they're okay with that. I think the frustration comes in. You've coached, I've coached. It's when referees aren't hustling, doing what they need to do.
Yes,
and you get frustrated because some of the refs are chasing the dollar. So they're doing 10 games a day. That's ridiculous. You know, after I can do 3 games, that 4th game, my mind is starting to wander. So that's a lot on your body. So it's not fair to the kids or the coaches.
No doubt. You know, Jason, it's actually kind of cool having, you know, not only former great athlete as a father and your brother also, but also now you have a father who officiates. I'm always intrigued when I watch features or even when I listen to other podcasts when they interview students of the game. One thing I was impressed with your brother, your longtime friend and teammate, Henry, was he became a student of the game. And I feel like you're in that same mode. Do you feel like your father's relationship with you and then him being official, you being around the game, two-parter, did you feel like that benefited you? And then how are you a student of the game? Like even at the collegiate level, even when you played in high school, how did you prep? How did you study? You know, did you feel like you gave that just as much attention as off the court, on the court type stuff?
I feel like having parents and family that's in the game really helps. When they're talking about basketball all the time at the cookouts, at the reunions, you kind of just sit there and you kind of like in awe about all the stories and what their mindset is about the game. So you kind of pick up on little things. I feel like where I've become a student of the game more has been these past year or so when I've gotten hurt. I tore my ACL and I tore my Achilles. So I've been slowed down from an athletic standpoint, but that hasn't affected my mind. So I use that and try to use my mind to play games on the court and just try to be in the right spots, right time, think the game, think 3 steps before I can be there, and just watching a lot of film. I've done that this past year when I was out. And that really started in high school. I started watching film in high school. Once I transferred, they emphasized film, and ever since then, I've been a big film junkie.
Yeah, no, it's good. And I'm glad to hear that, man, because I try to get some of the youngins I mentor, talk to. I'm like, hey, I'm amazed how many youngins, and I mean youngins, middle school and high school kids, don't watch other high school games, don't go and watch college games in their area. I mean, we are in Virginia, Maryland, DC, North Carolina, especially the DMV and the 804 and the 757. We are around so many great universities.
Right.
And a lot of these young men, they just want to hoop, maybe watch Ball is Life or, a story on Mikey Williams. I'm like, you got to like study the game, bro. Like become enmeshed in it, man. You mentioned your high school. Let's talk about that. You transferred, because I remember talking to Aaron, there was you moved to, I think I have it here in front of me. You went to, which high school did you end up going to? And just talk about that time.
Trinity Episcopal in Richmond.
But you transferred from where? I knew you went to Trinity, but you transferred.
From Hanover High School.
Hanover, that's right.
Yes, sir.
Trinity is when I saw you, and that's when things got real.
Yes, sir.
I went to like 60 of your games, and I watched a lot of them if they were live streaming, and I enjoyed those games. Let's talk about Trinity, because that team featured some great, not just D1 basketball players, but you even had some football players on that team.
Yes, sir.
It was fun to watch, especially when I got a chance to see you out in person. Just talk about when you got there and what it was like and your teammates and everything like that, your coaches.
When I got there, anytime you're in a new situation, it's nerve-wracking. You don't know what to expect. You don't know how people are gonna view you, how you view them. But I went there knowing a couple people through basketball, playing against them in the AAU. And actually, it's funny because one of the guys who went there was one of my longtime rivals. I mean, every time we played, we got in a fight with them. And now
who was that?
Zach Jacobs.
Okay, yeah, Zach.
Yeah,
okay.
Zach Jacobs played at JMU.
Y'all cool now, right? Y'all good
yeah,
now,
we,
right?
we boys
okay.
now. We like this now, but it was crazy. Every time we would play there, we would get to fight. But it was cool. The school was an adjustment. The learning curve was an adjustment. But basketball was great. I made a lot of great friends. Got to play a lot of great schools, and like you said, the humble pie. At Hanover, we were playing teams around here locally. My first tournament with Trinity, we actually went up north and played at a Sleepy Thompson tournament. And that was one of my first real big high school tournaments. And I didn't play well. So the next year, I was like, I got to remember this. So I was in the gym all year, remembering. And we did end up winning that tournament the first year I got there. But I did not play well at all, and it was just a different caliber of play. And I remember that was a piece of humbling pie, and I just worked. And next year we came, I played much better. We didn't win the tournament. I was out the first game, so I didn't get to play that game, and we ended up losing that game. But I played better, and it was the same competition, but I stepped up that tournament.
Yeah. I saw you guys playing so much, especially I would come down Richmond. I saw y'all play. I think it was the Christmas thing. It was at Virginia State. You guys played in that tournament. But I remember one that was actually pretty funny. Y'all were playing. It was also in 804. My wife and my son, we all came down and watched you guys play. Y'all playing some kind of tournament. I believe it was a holiday tournament, but y'all were playing Woodson, which is from up here in Fairfax.
Yes.
Coach Doug Craig. They won the state that year, but I remember that game. Y'all got up and you threw the ball off the glass and tried to bang it. You missed it. It was nice. I was going crazy because I will never be able to do that. And then you got subbed out and you were like a little irritated because you were mad you missed it.
Right.
But at the same time, I was tripping on like the bounce you had and the fact that you had the courage to do that. It wasn't like it was a 4-point game. But do you remember that play?
Yes, sir, I do. Yes, sir.
Yeah. When you did stuff like that and you made it or you missed it, or even like you talked about the humble pie, I'm just curious as a fan, as someone interviewed, what's going through your mind? Like, is that something you were like, okay, we up, I'm going to do this? Or are you just in the moment and letting it come to you?
In the moment, letting it come to you, just playing. You think about it, but you don't really think about it at the same time. You're in the game, you're trying to have fun. I actually did the same thing before at Hanover. I threw it off the glass to myself and banged it. So I was like, okay, maybe I could do it here, show the guys, I got a little something. So I did, and I missed. And Coach, you're right, Coach snatched me.
I remember. He yanked you right out, and I was like, oh. But my son was Sice. Isaiah was like, yo. I was like, nah, man, you do that, you better make it. He was like, yeah, right. He said it was tough.
But yeah, that was definitely a humbling place. Coach took me right out. And
yeah. I remember that game. Ron, as a dad, what do you think? As you played, you coach, you rep, but you're in that role as a dad. What you think? Were you just like,
no, I don't feel that. No. I didn't like it the first time you did it because I know points are precious. And I know what can happen if you miss. And I think the coach did exactly the right thing. Send a message. You can't do that. I was always told by the coaches, those are my 2 points. You can't do my 2 points that way.
That's a good way to put it.
And he said, my coach always say, you can dunk it all you want. Don't miss. He said, because if you miss, just walk on over. Don't even wait for the home. Just come on over.
Oh, really? When you play,
Yeah.
that's what they said?
Yeah. But I'm not talking about dunk on someone. That's different.
Okay.
I'm talking about wide open dunk. And you're not sure you can do it, lay it up. Yeah. Yeah. He said, don't even wait for the buzzer. Just walk
no
over.
doubt. No doubt, man. No, I want to ask you this while I got you, Ron. I want to ask you this while we're talking to you right now. I'm gonna read some of Jason's accomplishments. I got a question for you because, I'm just amazed. I mean, obviously he's still playing, but 3-time Conference Player of the Year, 2-time Prep League champ, 2-time VISAA, first team All Metro in Richmond. Played on the EYBL Nike Elite Circuit with Boo Williams. And he also, I believe, he scored throughout his high school career over 2,000 points. And there's other stuff.
Yes.
When you were in the moment as his father, you and Linda, your wife, when you guys are going through this as parents, what do you think? This is for you, Ronnie. What do you think made all that possible? And did you and Linda, when that was going on, did you appreciate the moment? Like, wow, our son is becoming a very good player. Like, what were your feelings when this stuff was happening? And then just to take a moment right now, as parents, were you and your wife like, wow, okay, we are doing this right as parents, right?
Well, yeah, I saw when he was young. I knew he was going to be pretty good because he had the fundamentals. Then his body started to grow. He started really starting to be dominant, filling out nicely. So you look at, you appreciate it. You just want to work hard and do well and do it the right way, and be humble, be coachable, and be respectful. And if you do those things, people are going to want to work with you and do things for you that they might not do for someone else. So when he was doing that, we sat back, we enjoyed it. We made sure he was on time. He got there, he ate properly, all the things you do as a parent. But when he got out on the court, he worked hard, he practiced hard, and he achieved those things. We were just there as cheerleaders and making sure all the boundaries and devices that can draw him away weren't in his way.
And Jason, some guys start feeling themselves. Some guys jump to Twitter, Snapchat, IG, start going live when they're working out. They do 3 curls and they put it down. They going live. Did you stay humble? Did you stay in the moment? Was it hard? Because look, you go to Trinity, all of a sudden there's a lot of eyes on you. You guys were, y'all was a very notable team during your time there. Like you guys were watched and covered. Y'all had a presence. Was it tough to stay humble?
No, sir, it wasn't. Because, looking at people who've done it before you and having them in your corner and seeing how they handled the spotlight, you kind of not used to it, but you see how to handle it. Having my dad who played Division I basketball, who had a bunch of scholarship offers, older players that I've been working out with, seeing them and their college experience and how they receive offers and not been too big-headed. They still come to workouts. They still working hard. So I would say it was easy to get unhumble, but seeing the people ahead of you and what they went through, it kind of was the building blocks of how to handle success.
And I want to ask you this, Jason, with having great parents, it's a blessing. And I see it, even though sometimes I'm tired, I see it from my journey. My mom and dad still alive. And I'm like, man, they were great. They did a lot for me, even when they used to make me so, upset. When even though you're still in the moment, you still got a lot of basketball ahead of you, you're a young man, but just take a moment and reflect on the sacrifices that your mom and dad did for you. Like, how did it help you then and how is it helping you now?
It's helping tremendous. It was a very tough decision for me to leave Hanover, all my friends at Hanover, to go play at a new school that was 45 minutes away. I didn't really know anybody except for the people who played basketball there. For them to sit me down and talk me through it and be like, hey, this is what you got over here versus this is what you got here. I know it's hard doing this and leaving this, but you got to look what's over here. And not really telling me what to do, but just giving me a outlay of what the whole bigger picture was. I think that helped a lot. And just all the sacrifices they made, making sure I was getting to all my AAU tournaments, carpooling to all my friends, making sure they was getting to it. I look back at it now and it's just like, wow, I can't believe they did all that for me.
I know, right?
You know, I want to be able to do the same thing for my kids.
Yes, yes. Because it's a lot, man. And I mean, and I'll do it again. I know Ronnie would too, and your mom. But it's a lot, but I know it paid off for you and Jordan. Um, Now let's go back to Trinity for a second. I sit back even now, as a grown man, I'm 40 something years old, and I look back at all the guys I played with and against. I mean, I played with guys like Damon Bacon in basketball, who went on and played Alabama, scored 51 points in high school. One time played against Iverson in both football and basketball. Had teammates that went on to NFL. Now many of them are coaching pro. I realize the older I get, I've been in some very remarkable situations, some great stadiums and arenas.
Right.
I realize I'm part of a special journey that everyone can experience. When I look at like now, I look at you. My daughter, as I mentioned to you both, is going to be at ODU. So now I have even more reasons to come down there and trying to check you out, see her. I did tell her first game, Virginia Tech, we're not playing no games. I don't care, you my daughter, but but that's football. But at the same time, like, just talk about the team. Like, I look at Mondo, like your teammate. I'm like, yo, this dude is in the Final Four.
Right.
And then when you first got to ODU, you played right away as a freshman. I know you're gonna kill it this year. And then, of course, things didn't work out for Henry at Duke, but he had some great moments. And I talked to his mom and dad, great people, their family. They were like, we're good. We're just going to use this as a new opportunity. Right. Next thing you know, I'm looking, and I come home, and my wife's got the game on, and he's in the NIT, 9 rebounds, dunking on people, looking like Optimus Prime. And I'm like, yo, this is all 3 of y'all, man. Just talk about, like, what it's like to be part of that and how they were as your friends and teammates.
It's crazy because, you love seeing the guys you grew up with to do well, you know what I'm saying? So just being part of that is special in itself. Just seeing, like you said, Mondo in the Final Four, being it with all my friends at ODU, sitting down watching them play, and like they'd be like, wow, you really played with him? Like, was he the same in high school? Yeah, he was the same in high school, dominant, doing his thing. But it's been a real blessing, and you gotta cherish the little things, the friendships, the time that you spent together. Not just on the court, off the court.
Yeah.
I feel like that's where the real bond really, really started, off the court, in the classrooms, getting food before games, going over to a friend's house before the games, chilling, playing video games.
Yeah.
To this day, I still talk to them. Like, we check up on each other all the time, and it's just a cool thing to be able to do. And and one common thing that brought us together was basketball, and that's so cool.
Yeah, it is. It is very cool, and it's also something I enjoy just being a part of, just as a supporter and a fan. Ronnie, you have a different role as a father, and I know you know all those guys. Jason had mentioned the injuries. He's been through some adversity, and it's been rough just for me, as a fan and a supporter of you guys in the family. But at the same time, he's back now. And you and I were talking late last week, and you were saying he was with the great Corey Alexander training and all of that. What have you and your wife been doing as parents to kind of help him now get back to that point mentally? I'm not talking about physically, because I know he's doing all of that.
Right.
What are you guys doing in regards to his parents, just helping him with that process?
Well, just loving them and encouraging them. We all need encouragement sometimes. When you get hurt, you start doing things differently because you may be you couldn't do what you did before until you heal. So you start jumping off one leg more, doing this, doing that. You might put on some weight. You might get out of shape. There's a lot of things that happen, but you got to be encouraging, and that's what we do, because he's not the first one to be hurt. He won't be the last. This happens. This is a part of life. And when he was looking at schools to go to, one of the decisions I wanted him to make was, if you go to school and you get hurt, are you going to want to be at that place, and are those people going to love you? So you need to think about it, because it does happen. This was before he went to college. We didn't know he was going to be hurt. And lo and behold, when he got hurt, Coach Jones, Coach Stiff, and the whole community, the Old Dominion, put their arms around him and haven't let go to this moment.
Yeah, Jason, you do play for a legendary coach, and I want you, actually, great job, Ronnie, segueing into that. because I want to talk about, you chose ODU. Before you talk about your coaches and having them as your mentors and your coaches and how they're helping you become a great player and a person on and off the court, talk about why you chose ODU, because you were heavily recruited. You were ranked by 247 Sports as the 9th best player in the state. Depending on which publication you watch, you were probably ranked higher or whatever. That's all subjective, but still, you were highly touted. I watched you in the EYBL giving guys buckets, but at the same time, as someone that was recruited a long time ago, and now I'm seeing my son kind of go through that process with schools texting him and invite him out to camps, it becomes intense, and it's a very important decision. Obviously, I'm glad you chose ODU, and I think it was the right decision, but it's not about me, it's about you.
Right.
Why did you choose ODU compared to the other schools that you were being recruited by, and who were some of those schools?
Some of those schools were Wichita State, VCU, College of Charleston, Florida Gulf Coast, JMU, Townsend. Those are the ones that are all just off the top of my head. I think
I'm sure there was
ended
more.
up with, I think 22 or 23 offers. But it came down to ODU because during the whole recruitment process, my parents were just like, go somewhere where you feel the love, where if you gonna play, not play, you just gonna love the school, you get your education. If you get hurt, you're there, the people, you're not too far. They really just said, do you, but make a conscious decision of where you want to go. So with that being said, in the recruitment process, ODU showed the most love out of all the schools, hands down. We had 6 a.m. workouts in the morning at Trinity, and ODU would be at all of them. Not to bash any other schools. It would be schools closer than ODU that were recruiting me. But ODU was the one at my workout 6 a.m. every Friday. They would show love. Coach would always.
I just want to inject. That is impressive.
Right.
You hear me? They wanted you. 6 a.m. all the time?
6 a.m. every workout.
I ain't getting up at 6 a.m. No, I'm done playing. Unless I'm getting money, I'm going to work or something. But I'm sorry. That's amazing. I'm very impressed by that. So they were there all the time?
All the time. What else? Making sure they would stay in contact with me, asking how the family was doing. So just little stuff like that, staying in contact with me, coming to my workouts, asking how my family was doing, asking how my brother was doing, how my uncles were doing. Just the little things they would do. Nothing big, not promising me anything, not saying, hey, if you come here, you'll do this, this, and that. None of that. It was just, hey, man, we were showing we want you. This is what the university has offered. This is a degree you want, da-da-da-da. We lay it all out. This is what we have, and that's what made me pick ODU. They appealed to me that they wanted me the most.
And talk about the coaches, because you have a legendary coaching staff, guys. Some of them I grew up and saw play. Right. But how have they been helping you, not just with the recovery, but just getting you acclimated, making sure you were straight, academically, mentally, just talk about even, your first year playing. What have you learned and what have they done to help you now that they got you?
I've learned a lot. I've learned that there's going to be bumps in the road. Everything's not perfect. Going into college, I thought it was just going to be smooth sailing. You just play basketball, have fun, meet friends, go to parties, all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? So they taught me when I got hurt that this is life. You know what I'm saying? You gotta find a way to bounce back. You gotta find a way to handle adversity, and that's what I had to do. And I'll never forget. Coach Stiff sat me down, and Coach Brian Stiff played at UVA. Played in the league.
I know. Yeah, Brian Stiff, one of the best ever at UVA, and also had a great pro career. Yep.
Sat me down, and he just listed off all the injuries he had and how he thought he wasn't going to make it to the league and this, that, and the third, and how he just worked. And that was motivation. And ever since then, I just had a chip on my shoulder to get back and to get back to where I am now. And I'm only going to get higher from here.
Absolutely. And you're going into because I can't keep up with the medical / COVID year. What year are you? What year?
I'm technically a senior. In the classroom, I'm a senior. But because of COVID, everybody is supposed to get a 5th year.
Yep.
And then I had 2 more years because of my medical residence.
Yeah.
So hopefully I got to talk to compliance and make sure everything is in line and make sure my grades and stuff are good, which I think my grades are good. It's just the compliance piece.
Yeah.
Hopefully I can get 3 more years left to play.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, we're praying for that. I'm sure it worked. I mean, COVID medical, I'm sure, and ODU, I'm sure they know what they're doing. And I'm sure you're gonna get that. I'm not there, but I mean, I've seen that with other kids in other sports, other universities. So your dad had mentioned to me, Ronnie and I were talking, you were being trained recently, just working out with the great, who I'm a huge fan of. I was a fan when he was playing college ball and in the pros, Corey Alexander. I mean, I love him on TV. I mean, I'm amazed how many kids in the 804 and even the AAU circuit have been trained by him, and he mentors and talks to so many kids. How is he helping you? Because you got some trainers, they just roll the balls out, turn on some NBA young boy, and they just do these drills. That ain't training. Cool. How is he? Just speak briefly a little bit about how he is and helping you.
It's funny, not to sound bad, but I feel like Corey is either make you or break you type of trainer. You know what I'm saying? He's either gonna make you love the game or he's gonna make you hate it, because he's gonna put you through some workouts. He's gonna put you through some adversity, and that's where you find you got to find deep down whether you love the game or not. And I think that's what he does. He does a good job of pulling out the best in people and really pushing people to their limit and seeing what they got down deep in the tank. So I've been blessed to be able to work out with him the past 6 years. Yeah, 6 or 7 years. We've been off because COVID the past 2 years, but I'm thankful for the opportunity to get back into the gym with him. We're in a dead period right now with college, so everybody's home for the break. So he hit me up and was like, "Let's get this work in." And I'm blessed to be able to work with him.
That's awesome, Ronnie. So you never got involved once he started getting these coaches and trainers. You never start taking him and you putting out the cones and the baskets. You just left that to the other guys. You didn't get involved in that as far as your skill set or knowing how to play and coach.
No, what I did, I coached him when he was younger and made sure he had the fundamentals and all of those things. But to get to a point when I was coaching him and I said something to him and he didn't look at me as a coach, he looked at me like a son father. I was like, okay.
Yep.
It might be time to step off. But he could always come to me and talk to me. But if he wanted to talk basketball, we talk. But he's got coaches and people to do that with him. So I need to be dad. My wife need to be mom. If he brought up basketball, we'll talk basketball. But if he come to us, he want to go eat or go watch a movie or play his video game or sit outside, shoot the BB guns or whatever, that's just what we do because it can be too much. So you need to step off of that. And my father, I learned that from my father. He didn't even know he taught me that. My father would say the same thing after every game. If we won, he said, y'all sure got him today, Doc. If we lost, they sure got you today, Doc. That was the whole conversation.
Sound like my dad. Wow. My dad, he still uses slang Doc.
Yeah. I thought my name was Doc till I was 10 years old. So I went to North Carolina. I see everybody call me.
That's that old school term.
Yeah, that's my dad school.
My dad still do that. Hey, Doc, how you doing, man?
Yeah, I thought my name was Doc.
Hey, but I do want to ask a fun question because we only have a little bit of time left. But I do want to ask you a fun question, Ronnie. In your prime, when you were giving everybody buckets, in your prime, you take you back into the DeLorean, back of the day, you in your prime, Jordan and your son in his prime, Jason in his prime, which is right now, or at least when he gets older. Who's winning one-on-one?
Yeah, that's an easy question. They can answer that one.
That's a very easy question.
Oh, okay. Jason, who's winning?
Come on now. Big dog. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Ronnie, you agree?
No, I'm just letting it talk. No. Ask Aaron.
Okay. Yeah, I will. Because I've heard how nice you were. I've seen, sometimes it's that, what's they call it, that recency bias, because, he's hooping right now. I can go look at his stuff online. He's got this upcoming season. So I just like to ask that question because it's
sure.
It's
He
funny.
was player of the year in the area. I was player of the year in the state. So just so he'll know. He was just in Richmond. I went out
credentials. I love that little flex. Like, yeah, I love you, man, but you don't have this. It's funny. That's the one thing about having kids. I was doing that with my son yesterday because he was asking me about this kid named Didi that plays with him. That's a football and basketball player at Gonzaga up in the D.C. area where we live. And he was like, Dad, you couldn't have had him. I said, listen, don't do that. Don't do that. I was fourth in the nation. Don't do that. Fourth by who? I'm like, don't do that. But that's all good, man. It'll never happen. But it was just had to ask that question. Jason, again, you said you're on break. You guys are going back to school here shortly in a few weeks. And, then you're back at it, man. What is the plan? I don't need the X's and O's, but like as far as, college, D1, the ODU schedule as far as, when you guys start back, is it lifting and conditioning? When does that all start? The basketball calendar for you and your ODU teammates.
Coach said, be ready when we get back. We hitting the ground running. So I don't know what that means.
I think we know.
I have no idea what that means, but my goal is to just stay in shape, stay ready, get as many shots as I can up, get some conditioning in, get some lifting in. But he said we're not playing no games this year. We hitting the ground running. So I'm looking forward to it. I know my teammates are looking forward to it. We can't wait to get back in the gym with each other. And just looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, I am too, man. Just as I obviously we're getting ready to do football season, everybody, high school, college, pro, youth ball. But come basketball, there's some games, people that are going to watch this interview, fans, or even just me, a supporter of you. Are there some games that, that are on the schedule? I know there's Christmas tournaments and all of that, but are there some games even in conference that, you and your teammates are excited for, that you always look forward to? Just some of the games I know you don't have the whole schedule, but just some of the games you're looking forward to.
Most definitely. We start off the year with Virginia Tech. So we play them in our in the Charleston Classic tournament. We play them first game of the season. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Football and basketball.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So definitely looking forward to that one. Our conference, we switched conferences this year, so we don't get the VCU and the Richmond this year. Those are games I normally look forward to. But
I did too.
But we're not gonna get those this year. So we trying to start up a little rival with JMU, James Madison. So I'm excited for that game. And I'm excited anytime you get to step out in between the four lines, man. Coming off injury, I'm just blessed to be able to get back out there with my teammates.
No question. No, I'm excited for you. I really am, man. And I know God has a plan, but I'm also excited to see that plan come to fruition. It's gonna be great. And also, now that I have, like I said, family down there, it's just gonna be even better. It's crazy too because you open up against my alma mater in both football and basketball. So I'll be cheering for you in the one in basketball. Football, I know we're both gonna be watching. I'm gonna probably try to get down there for that. So this has been great. We're at the point of the show where we wrap up and I let my guests give their final thoughts. We could probably go on, but I know you guys have a schedule and I have a schedule. So I appreciate y'all jumping on. But Ronnie, I'll start with you first. You and your wife, Linda, man, you guys have done a great job. I know it's not done. You've never done parenting. Right. But you have two successful sons. Jason is still right in the midst of his career with a lot of life ahead of him, basketball and whatnot. I want you to speak to the parents, the fathers and the mothers, because obviously in my role, I've met a lot of great people, but I also have met a lot of misguided people, who in a lot of ways mess it up for their children, athletically, switching schools when adversity comes or blaming other people, switching 9 different teams. That's their choice. But when it comes to what you and your wife have done, speak about it from a perspective of what advice or feedback do you have for them to make sure, not just for sports, but your kids are taken care of and the sacrifices that you need to make. Just overall, what do you feel is important when it comes to helping your children accomplish their athletic and academic goals?
I think one thing you have to do is let them be them, for one. and support what they want to do, not try to live your life through them. Give them their space. They will gravitate to what they love and then try to support them in that, whether it's basketball, football, ballet, soccer, whatever it is. Maybe they want to be a scientist, who knows? But whatever it is, help them achieve their goal. Don't let them give up on their dream. And sometimes we have to sit back and let them fall. It's okay for them to fall and make mistakes because life is hard, as we know. And they need to know how to get back up and get that drive and work hard again. So it's okay if they fail early, and don't give up on it. Don't try to live through them. Just let them be themselves, and everything will work out fine.
Wise words. Jason, my son and other players have seen you, younger guys, and you are watching you. You've had a great career so far, but it wasn't always that. You mentioned humble pie, life lessons learned on and off the court. You're overcoming adversity as we speak and do this interview. What have you learned so far? And because of that, what advice do you have for the young and up and coming players that are following your legacy?
My advice for the young players is don't get caught up in all the rankings and social media stuff. People are going to do what they do. It's mostly politics. When you get in those four lines or on a football field or on a baseball field, whatever court it is, just do your thing, go as hard as you can, and it'll go from there. Do not worry about what the scouts and what the analytic people have to say.
No doubt, man. Well, that's also wise words, man. And I appreciate you both for jumping on, man. I'm glad we're able to do this. I thank y'all so much, man. I'm sure people watching this when I air this will appreciate it, man. This was a lot of fun. I'm definitely going to see you both again. Come basketball season, go Monarchs. Right now, it's not basketball season. But no, again, thank you.
Aaron asking that same question between us, who he think would have won.
I am.
And see what his answer is.
I can't wait. But I'm sure that question is going to keep coming up, as Jason mentioned, at the barbecues and the fish fries and cookouts. But that's the great thing about it. But I just want to say thank you to you guys, man, and your family, your wife, your mother, Jason, your brother, Jordan, everybody that supports you guys, the ODU Monarch basketball and university community that will see this, as well as everyone that supports Vicktory Life. Like I say every episode, no matter where you go, no matter what you do, leave a positive impact and a great legacy. Thank you guys both. Also make sure everybody watching, subscribe to the Vicktory Life YouTube channel for great features and interviews like this. Thank you, Ronnie and Jason. I appreciate you both.
All right, take care.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.